Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Revisiting Disney. Now in the past, what Revisiting Disney was my way of speaking out to Disney as a whole about what I thought they could do better with Epcot. I was a big fan of Epcot. I still love Epcot, but I always felt that Future World has sort of hit this point where it doesn't meet the full potential of what it was intended to be when it was open. So Revisiting Epcot was my way of just sort of looking at each pavilion, which I'm still in the process of doing, and talking about what I think Disney could do to it to make it that much better. But I figured rather than doing a revisiting episode based on something that I think is being done incorrectly, why not just do one for fun, just completely speculative fun. So I figured today we'd hop to Hollywood Studios and we would talk about an idea, I guess, more in depth that I have had for a while that I think plenty of other people have had as well, and possibly even the Walt Disney Company has already started putting into motions, and that is for my dream for a Tron roller coaster. Now we're here in Hollywood Studios because while a lot of people, I think, when they start to think about where they'd put a Tron roller coaster, their first guess is Tomorrowland or Future World, somewhere that fits the sci-fi theme. I myself sort of found a ride that I think would be perfect to change over into a Tron roller coaster that more fits the film and movie theme of Hollywood Studios, and that is Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. Now, doesn't it make sense? It's a roller coaster ride, it's indoors, it's a dark roller coaster, it's in a theme park about movies, and Tron itself is a movie franchise that Disney owns. So wouldn't this be a great place to put a Tron roller coaster? Now, I said it's possibly in the works already because it's heavily rumored that there is a Tron indoor roller coaster in the works for Shanghai Disney, which is still under construction. Now, I say it's heavily a rumor because I was actually read that people were talking about it as if it was confirmed, and I did a lot of looking into it, and I couldn't find one official source confirming that the roller coaster that is under construction at Shanghai Disney is a Tron roller coaster. It seems to have been this rumor that's been perpetuated over and over to the point where it's treated like fact, but I don't know, I haven't seen a Disney announcement yet, so I'm not going to count it as 100%. But beyond that, let's just talk about what we would do. I mean, obviously, you could have this set up to have the light bikes zooming by, and that's what sort of really lends itself to the roller coaster format, right? Is, in the world of Tron, which is this digital world, if you've never seen the movie, they have games, and one of the games, and probably the most iconic game from the film series, is light bikes, which are these motorcycles that in the original film, they only moved on right angles. So you go forward, you make a sharp left turn, sharp right turn, things like that. And they leave a trail of light, almost like a little fence of light behind them as they drive. And in a snake-like fashion, you have to try and get your opponent to either hit your light wall or hit the wall of the arcade, the arena, and just have them crash before you do. And so, it's an iconic scene from the film. They sort of updated it for the new Tron when it came out, so the bikes were moving around. And I just think, it's one of those things that it's synonymous with Tron, right? So why not do a roller coaster? Now, what I would do is, theming-wise, the roller coaster itself is pretty simple, right? Make it an indoor coaster, make the ride vehicles look like light bikes, heavy emphasis on neons, colors, and the blacks and the grids and everything that, that Tron aesthetic. But first, let's talk about, I think, the pre-show area and this loading area here. So, what I would want to see done with Rock and Roller Coaster, if we were turning it into a Tron roller coaster, is turn this whole front area from GeForce Records into Encom. Now, in the new Tron movie, which some of you might have seen before the old one, you might not have even seen the old one, the main character gets put in the grid by going into the basement of his dad's arcade, and there's a computer there, and it puts him in the grid. But I think it would be more faithful to the original 80s version of Tron to have you go into the grid through Encom, which is sort of how it happened in the first movie. That's where Flynn was working, and in those laboratories is where he, got sent into the grid. So I think this would be a great place to do it. You could set this up sort of like the downstairs laboratories. Maybe you could have some sort of visualized way of seeing the office. They had this great, scene from the original movie that I kind of remember where they used a matte shot to make what looked like an endless sea of cubicles. It looked like the worst office you could ever work at. But, you could have something set up here, obviously, I guess in the vein of Dinosaur, where they're sort of at a laboratories, and you could have a pre-show here. Maybe that explains how they're testing, the digitization process to put people in the grid. Something like that. I don't know. Maybe tie it in with a plot point of the third Tron, which is hopefully still under development. And basically, or make this the room where you get sent into the grid. Actually, that would make perfect sense, right? You make out here the NCOM labs, and then in here is where the actual digitizing happens. And you could use the screen here to sort of, I don't know, like create that feeling of being sent there. You could have it lit up to look like you're in the lab here when the lights are on, and then have the actual digitizing gun here on the screen, right? Because, while in Minecraft this is a physical space, this is actually a screen on the actual ride. It shoots you with the digitizing laser, you get sent into the grid, all the lights turn off, so there's just darkness, and then you're sort of led out here, and this would be completely themed to the grid. It would have that look, that neon look. It would be playing some nice ambient, I don't know if you could go with, I guess, for contemporary's sake, do the Daft Punk soundtrack, and have that feeling that you're walking through, and maybe you have, the cast members sort of dressed like the guards who work on the grid. And then you finally, are forced to play in the games, and you have a light cycle motor, roller coaster. And I think the roller coaster part itself would be pretty straightforward and simple. I mean, the ride's already a dark roller coaster. You already have multiple tracks. You have multiple tracks that go at once, if possible. A lot of the theming here already uses neon colors to really heavily, put emphasis on the details here, like the road signs. So you'd really just be changing the theming around. You have Daft Punk playing, blasting that music in your ear while you're riding around. You have all the neon colors. You have maybe like off in the horizon the vision of the cities of the grid, or you make it look like you're in the arena and you've got everybody watching in the stands around you. Just make it seem like this grand light cycle battle, and then in the end, obviously, because you're always the hero in whatever you're doing at Disney World, you win, and that sort of earned you your freedom so you could go back to the real world. I wonder if you could even use some sort of new, Imagineering effects to make it look like you're almost about to hit another light cycle, things like that. And then, you have the roller coaster experience, you earn your freedom. At this point, you're getting sent back into the real world because you've mastered the light cycle. And that's where it puts you out here into the post-show. Now, the post-show wouldn't be at NCOM. That'd be sort of like a jump in logic. But the post-show, which I think would be amazing, would be Flynn's Arcade. Now, in the film, he's got his own arcade, same as in both films, actually. And it's a 1980s arcade. So imagine, this functional 1980s arcade playing 80s music. You get your photo when you were on the ride. There are arcade games. It would be great if they bought a bunch of old video game arcades and set them into free mode so, kids could go around and play games that they might have not ever played before because they're too young, or you've got older people who are playing and, remembering having that nostalgic trip of playing games that they remember from when they were younger. You've got awesome 80s music. It feels like you're at Flynn's. Make it look like you're at Flynn's. And then you could sell all sorts of Tron merchandise, Tron shirts and Flynn shirts and light cycle toys and, everything Disney usually does when it comes to a roller coaster. And I think the what I like most about this idea is that it doesn't require any fundamental changes to the ride. It's still a roller coaster indoors. The layout's still the same. It's really just a re-theming of the entire place. Now, again, like I said, this isn't because I don't like Rock and Roller Coaster. I love Rock and Roller Coaster. I just would also love to see a Tron ride, and I sort of approach these wondering how you can most cheaply do it, which involves not building an entire new attraction from scratch. So this is my revisiting of Rock and Roller Coaster, I guess. But more so, it's just my idea for like a cool Tron roller coaster. And let's hope those rumors are true, and they are building one at Shanghai Disney. And then, hopefully it does so well over there that maybe Disney will be motivated to build one somewhere over here, whether it's Disneyland or Disney World. Anyway, is there a ride you would like to see me revisit? Let me know in the comments below. Is this a ride that you would go on? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe you love Rock and Roller Coaster so much that it's just blasphemy to even suggest changing it. Or maybe you want to change it in a completely different way. Let me know below in the comments. I love hearing everybody's feedback. I always think it's fun when people brainstorm about what they would do with Disney. I want to thank you all for watching. Have a fantastic week. Whatever you're doing, make the most of it. And I hope to see you all next time for the next Revisiting Disney.